Cleveland is their fourth effort in Ohio. They started in Dayton calling Lifting Dayton. And then they went into Lorain County, reclaimed Lorain County, and then they were in Columbus, Faith Vote Columbus. These were other election cycles. You notice the voting check mark in the Lorain County and the Columbus logos? It's the voting check mark. You'll see that in the Ohio logo. We have a check mark. That means I voted. Well, but look at the GCC logo. That's just sunrise and happiness and yes. All right, I'm going to get into that. Okay, I'm going to get into that. Okay, I'm going to get into that. So, this is the IAF website. So although if you go on the Greater Cleveland Congregation's website, you don't see anything about the Industrial Areas Foundation. When you go on the Industrial Areas Foundation, you see all of these logos. You see Ari Littman as the lead organizer of the Ohio Industrial Areas Foundation. So Ari is both the lead organizer in the IAF Ohio and in GCC. So there is absolutely a connection. Okay, what is communist infiltration? Communist method of infiltration is to bore from within. Disguising themselves as loyalists to an organization they seek to undermine. Once gaining entry, they gradually and subtly change the values and principles of the targeted organization over generations, exhibiting unlimited patience and supreme confidence in the ultimate attainment of their goals. In America, communists have achieved substantial inroads in organized labor, academia, legal professions, race relations, cultural and religious institutions, and governments. This is a quote from Chuck Morris. Okay. Political philosophy, progressives embrace Luther. He was the first radical known to man. Alinsky, he acknowledges him as the effective radical. He embraced calculated, purposeful, and effective amoral political agitation through the acquisition of power by ordinary people and the advancement of societal deconstruction. Socialism deconstructs society. It's the opposite of capitalism that nurtures society. The train always runs on time when Satan runs the show. First and foremost, it's essential to convince the general public that they are unhappy. After you convince them of that, you've got this undefined great law of change. Barack Obama has not stopped using the word change. You listen to him talk, it's still there. I haven't had enough time to make the changes that are needed. I need another 4 years to totally wreck America. Restricting freedom by denying people access to and the right to attain knowledge. It's an anti-intellectual totalitarian concept. Destroying institutions of society specifically to empower people. These were the messages of Karl Marx. The big one here is the end justifies almost any means. You can move in, you can live in someone's basement, you can register to vote illegally because we are saving America, we socialists. They use passive, affirmative, non-challenging attitudes of change towards the mass of our people. I don't know, some of you are my age or about my age, and you remember the SDS from the 60s. The SDS, well, this is right out of Alinsky, okay? The SDS, the quote is, the issue is never the issue is always the revolution. We're here for sustainable food. No, you're here to rule the vote. We're here to fix the justice system because blacks are unfairly handled in Cuyahoga County in the justice system. No, you're here to screw up the vote. So they tell you they're here for one reason, but they're really here for another. That's our side's view of it. Total rejection of social mores, belief that nothing is worthwhile, denial that people are capable of attaining knowledge, belief in objective truth, belief in the destruction of authority, subverting the society in which you live. Okay, the blaze broke the story on the Greater Cleveland congregations, but it took a while for those of us who were concerned to really kick into gear and get it. In September of 2011, Billy Hollowell wrote about this founding of GCC, a group that describes itself as a nonpartisan coalition of faith communities, partner organizations in Cuyahoga County, working together, quote, to build power for social justice. So the Beck group, Glenn Beck's group said, what is this GCC? The 5 key messages on the GCC website are, the GCC is a new coalition and it's looking for a more just and prosperous place. That's one goal. Proven power of person-to-person organizing. We're going to work together as Christians and Jews. There's one Muslim mosque in Parma also who joined. And we're going to have a common prophetic voice. And we're going to change Greater Cleveland. Well, you know what? Those of us who live there, we don't want to change. We kind of like it the way it is. We will challenge Clevelanders to imagine the change we can accomplish, multiply our power, and mobilize our members. Now, you wake up one day and you're a kook, and you decide, I don't know anything about radical organizing, but I'm going to get involved in making a difference on the far left. You can know nothing and in 3 days be an absolute expert. Their website contains information on how to do everything. If you needed to know how to blow your nose, it would have a description of how to take the Kleenex out of the box. It has training materials, training presentations, flyers and agendas, how to put them together, organizing articles. 3 days, you're an expert. You can go change Cleveland all on your own. The lead organizer, as I mentioned, is Ari Littman. He's the lead organizer of the IAF in Ohio. He was the lead organizer of the Faith Vote of Columbus. They claim they are the largest independent, nonpartisan, quote-unquote, voter mobilization effort in Ohio in 2008. Well, I don't know about you, but most of what they say that's propaganda, I consider to be lies, okay? And they are not a nonpartisan voter mobilization. So that's the bottom line. Ari was previously with Greater Cleveland Interfaith Organization, Action in Montgomery, Maryland. He went to Harvard undergrad. He got a Master's of Theological Studies from the Divinity School at Harvard. He directed a homeless shelter in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and he has been the recipient of some awards from liberal organizations, the biggest one called the Unsung Progressive Hero. Ari is a musician, and my biggest hope in life is that someday he just joins an orchestra. Michael O'Malley from the Plain Dealer started to write about GCC. Began September 2010 at a Jewish synagogue in Beechwood called Fairmount Temple. There were about 350 people. The goal they set was to raise 40 member religious organizations to join. They wanted to get 50% of their money from the organization, so they charge a church or a synagogue $10,000 to join. And then the other 50% of their budget they're trying to get directly from donors. Their goal is to address social justice and economic disparities. The next actual large meeting they had after September 2010 was in June 2011, and greater than 2,000 people attended this meeting at the Masonic Temple in Cleveland. So that's huge in that short period of time. What does GCC seek to accomplish? This lady, Tracy Lynn, is the pastor at Trinity downtown in Cleveland. She is gay, and she, I think, fairly openly gay. I don't go there, obviously, so I don't know, but I've met members of her congregation. And this is what's happening. Those of us who don't like what's going on in our congregations are very challenged. Some, like, I belong to my synagogue for 30 years. My synagogue participates in GCC, and I challenged it. And I went to my rabbi, and I challenged it in a meeting, but I'm such a lone voice, okay? I was also on a committee of the Jewish Federation, which also joined GCC, and we had a meeting where it was explained that the Jewish Federation of Cleveland was going to start participating, because I'll show you all the good things they're doing while they're doing voter registration. And I brought my notes. I didn't give them a PowerPoint. I brought like 10 things, and when I was called on in a meeting, I said, totally object to this organization joining GCC, and these are the reasons. And there were about 30 people in the room, and this is a very prestigious committee. It's very hard to get on this committee, and I was very excited about a year and a half ago when I got on the committee. And a couple of the people in the group said, Bev's right, this is really where it's from, but they're doing really different things now. You know, they're not really who they used to be. They've never said they're not who they used to be, but other people are speaking for them. And about 3 weeks later, I got a really nice phone call from a really good friend who said, hey, you know, I'm calling from the Federation to thank you for your time on our committee. We've replaced you with another conservative on the committee. First, I was really angry, and I thought, wow, you can't really even, I wasn't rude or anything. I just said, blah, 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 blah. These are the facts. And then I thought, they really did me a favor, because I can go out now and I don't have to worry if they're concerned about how I'm saying, what I'm saying, and so it would turn out to be a blessing in disguise. You can't be a member of and represent something that you don't represent. It's just really impossible to do. So I feel bad in one sense, but got the freedom to move on. So this is Tracy Lynn. We intend to organize and campaign for good jobs, accessible and affordable health care, safe and productive schools for our children, fair and equal treatment in our criminal justice system, and sustainable and healthy food. Imagine a place where people are healthy, children are well educated, workers are employed in good jobs, no one goes hungry, everyone feels safe, and all are treated with dignity and respect. And after I read that, all I could think of was Garrison Keillor, and it sounded just like Lake Wobegon, and the kids are all above average, you know? That was how it hit me. Okay, Connie Schultz, our favorite. Our real favorite, Senator Brown's wife, when she was still with the PD. You know, she always takes a leave of absence when he's running. Okay, these are quotes from her article. Lippman said Cleveland's level and pace of engagement was unprecedented, how we went from 250 in 2010 to over 2,000 in 2011 at that big meeting. Normally it takes 3 to 5 years to get this kind of commitment to have this founding ceremony that they had at Masonic. The amount of energy here is breathtaking, and I agree, it's breathtaking. Okay, so this is GCC. My vision of Cleveland is on the left. I like it to be what it is, with the Indians, with just how we have it. We have a very nice city. We're gonna work on education. When I get elected to State Board of Education, we're going to make some differences with what's going on with the Cleveland Schools Plan. But this is how GCC works. Congregations join for 10 grand, and they send members to the delegate assembly. And of course, the 2 people from my temple who go are retired teachers. That's shocking.
So for each church or synagogue or whatever that belongs, the individual has to pay $10,000?
No, the church or the synagogue pays $10,000, and then they are a member of the Greater Cleveland congregations, and then they send representatives from there.
$10,000 has to come from the church or synagogue?
Correct, and then, but if you love GCC and you could, you could give your own $10,000, or 9, 10's too much. Okay, so we have delegate assembly, then we have issues and actions teams, strategy teams. I didn't make this up, this is right off their website. You can go and look at it on their website, so it's their stuff. This whole presentation started from this slide. I don't know, how many of you are familiar with Cuyahoga Valley Republicans? It's an organization in Brecksville. Cuyahoga Valley Republicans saved my life. Because I'm sitting there in Beechwood going, there has to be more than one person who thinks like me in Cuyahoga County. I can't be, with my husband, the only 2 people who think like this. And so we started going around to the different clubs in the county. And Cuyahoga Valley Republicans is actually a 600-member Republican club. It's not affiliated with the county party. It does have the word Republican in it, but it's sort of Tea Party leaning. And it was really a right place. And I showed this map. Every one of these yellow stars is a church or synagogue that belongs to GCC in Cuyahoga County. And you can see that the east side is just about underwater with membership here. I showed this to President Don Cherie, and he goes, Beverly, you have to get the word out. This is really serious. So from this one slide, you get this whole PowerPoint presentation. But that's where they are. These are the churches. There are African Methodist Episcopal churches, Baptist churches. Any church in heavy black is a lead church or lead organization. So the Olivet Institutional Baptist Church, which hosted a couple of meetings this week, is one of the lead churches. Congregationalist churches are involved. There's Episcopal churches. The Trinity Episcopal Church is the church where Tracy Lynn is the very reverend. Catholics for a Greater Cleveland. The Catholic Church has not agreed, Bishop Lennon has not agreed to allow the church to formally participate in GCC, and there's a whole part of that. Hold on, there's one Latino church. Yes, I will. Let's start here. Take a minute and look, and then I'll advance. This is from several months ago. It's very possible that a few more congregations have joined since then. Okay, now we're going to go on to these. Take a look.
Which PLCA synod is that?
I don't know. Please go on their website and look further. I just tried to make this slide so that those of you who belong to various denominations of Christian religions can take a look and see, which of your churches. Okay. All right, Lutheran Church, one Lutheran Church at the time I put this together, the very large, beautiful Presbyterian Church on Fairmount, 2 Unitarian churches, the West Shore Unitarian Church, we drove by it. I don't remember where we were going, but we drove by it. There's this huge sign. I don't know if it's still out on the church or not, but it's all about civil rights and gay marriage, and I'm thinking, okay, I remember that name from my PowerPoint slide. I don't think I'm joining there. There are a lot of Jewish congregations that belong. In Judaism, we generally have 3 levels of participation: Orthodox, which are the most religious Jews; conservative Jews, which are not politically conservative Jews. It's just called conservative Judaism. It's sort of the bridge between extremely liberal Jews and Jews who are Reform, who are, they consider themselves modern day, participate a lot, but don't necessarily follow all of the laws and requirements. So what is absent from here is the Orthodox synagogues, none of the Orthodox synagogues. So I am a Reform Jew who's politically conservative. I'm somebody who's very challenged. Michael and I are very challenged in our religious life because we're not comfortable in an ultra-religious environment. We never were in ultra-religious Jewish environments. And politically, we're completely uncomfortable in our level of religious environment. So politically conservative Jews are very challenged right now in terms of places to worship. I've met many politically active Jewish women around the country because I go to some leadership meetings, RJC, and they've quit their congregations. Well, we've elected not to quit. When you leave, you lose your chance for the message. So. And there's an Islamic center that joined, and all I would say is they joined because they want to know what's going on. I doubt very much that they are GCC thinkers. The Cleveland Catholic Diocese is the most cautious. Catholics appear, this is from the Plain Dealer. All my slides have citations at the bottom, so I'm not saying they're absolutely accurate, but at least I've cited where I got the information from. Catholics appear not to be very involved. Only a few attended the Masonic event. There is a group now called Catholics for Greater Cleveland. I don't have that quite right. But there are Catholics, mostly from my neighborhood, mostly from Jesu and St. Dominic's and the neighborhood I live in, who are involved on an individual basis with GCC. The days before the event in Masonic Temple, Bishop Lennon made it clear that he did not support GCC and instructed churches not to participate. And their spokesman, Mr. Tack, said that they have concerns. They are willing to meet with GCC people, but they are not joining. Many Catholics are asking what has led the Cleveland Catholic Diocese to be so definite regarding their unwillingness to participate. And that's for those of you who aren't Catholic, and I'm not, so I didn't know what the diocese included. Those are the counties in the Cleveland Diocese. There's been a very large ongoing communist infiltration into the Catholic Church for a very long time. I was completely unaware of it because I never studied much about Christianity or any Christian religions, but this is what I got from my research. This is Bella Dodd. She was a party lawyer, teacher, and activist who left the Communist Party. She said, "You will not recognize the Catholic Church in the future because communist infiltration was so extensive. In the 1930s, we put 1,100 men into the priesthood in order to destroy the church from within." That's Alinsky, that's Marx, Karl Marx. Right now they are in the highest places and they are working to bring about change in order that the Catholic Church will no longer be effective against communism. That's a quote from Chuck Norris.
Say that again. As a Catholic, participating Catholic.
Why don't you stand up?
Well, I'm just saying it's a Catholic, participating Catholic, one who goes to rosary meetings and everything, okay? The best thing that this Obama administration ever did for Catholics was to make them obey Obamacare. It's the first time I've seen backbone in our churches in a long time. So.
Okay, let me go through a few more of these people.
Could you just go back to that last Catholic slide?
Yes, Janie, go ahead.
Can you just, I'm missing, I'm not getting this. She left?
She was a communist, and then she gave testimony to Congress. This was testimony to Congress. about communist infiltration into the Catholic Church.
Okay.
She was one of the people who gave testimony.
Right, and just let me see this last one. Right now, they're in the highest places. We're keeping bringing up.
Well, I don't know exactly how you get promoted through the ranks of the church, but you start out in the seminary and then you become a priest, and then you probably move up in the area. And so there are probably some very, very key, very high-level Catholics who are of this infiltration. I will tell you that I brought this for those of you to write, because this just came to me from Greg Badger a couple days ago, posted by Ann Barnhart on the Blaze. This is all about an Archbishop of Chicago who was a homosexual and who was I guess one of the people, I haven't gone through this, one of the people in those lawsuits, and he was one of these seminarians who was entered into the seminary as a communist. So let me just try to pull this together real quickly. Okay, so Dodd gave testimony, a man named Manu Johnson gave testimony. Once the taxes of infiltration of religious organizations was set by the Kremlin, the communists discovered that the destruction of religion would proceed much faster through infiltration of the Catholic Church by communists operating within the church. This is a book everybody needs to read if you want to really figure out what's going on. It's called AA 25, Memoirs of a Communist Priest, Infiltration into a Church. Evidently, this is what happened. A man was in a car accident who was a priest. He was entered into a hospital. The nurse who took care of him was a converted Catholic, a very religious woman. The man had no personal identification on him other than the number AA 1025, and he had written his memoirs about being a Catholic communist infiltrator into the church. And the book is been translated into English, and it was reviewed 3 times to make sure that the translation was accurate. But he was a Polish boy, 14 years old. He found out he was adopted. He was raised very Catholic, found out he was adopted, was really angry, ran away, eventually connected in Russia with explaining that he wanted to infiltrate the church as a communist, and he finally was successful in doing it. I'll tell you what, anybody who kind of wants this, I'll get your email and I'll get you some of these slides. What he found was that there were 1,024 people who had entered before him, and the idea was you can suppress religion if you can suppress fear. If people are not fearful of anything, then they don't need to be religious. And he went through, in his years of being a priest and whatever else he was, writing documents on how to minimize and eliminate structures of the church. I'll just go through some of these examples. Advocated disappearance of altars and crucifixes in order that Christ be considered as a man, not God. The universal church would therefore be entirely to the glory of man, not God. He was the one who capitalized on how the press could help with these left-wing communist views. Literary talent can help people swallow all new plans if they're coated with chocolate. An idea is good when some idiot writer in the press presents your communist ideas, one of his own ideas. The presses of writers, journalists, and theologians work for us, echoing our message.